So today, I'm going to talk about, I was supposed to talk about the Python community in APAC region. But yesterday, one of the organizers of PyCon Malaysia and also PyCon Japan, my friend Ikuba, gave me a good reason to revise my talk. In Korea, there's a Winter Olympics going on. So I put a little bit of Olympic things into my slide. So yesterday I literally rewrite it again. So maybe it could be short than expected, but I hope you understand. So this is new title of my talk. It's Python community and Olympism. So before I start to talk about the Olympism and our community, let's talk about the community. So what is community? So my mother language is not in English, so I'm Korean. So I need to give a bit of attention to talk about a thing in English. So I looked for a definition of the word community. So in the dictionary, the meaning of community is here. So it's quite long, and there's a lot of word repeating: common, fellowship, and yeah, something like that. So I want to emphasize the second meaning of the community. So it's a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. So that's what the dictionary defines the word community. So I like it. I like the second meaning of the word community. And then I looked for a community section in python.org website. So in the website, the python.org, they define the Python community as great software is supported by great people. Our user base is enthusiastic, dedicated to encouraging use of the language, and committed to being diverse and friendly. It's the meaning of the community on the python.org website. The meaning of community is quite exact what I understand. Quite the same. A few months ago, there's a gaming company in Korea, which its name is Nexon. It's one of the biggest game company in the world, I guess. And they have released a new mobile game, which name is Durango. I know some of the engineers in the company, and they came for PyCon Korea several times, talk about the infrastructure and server architectures of the game. So it's so fascinating because they developing the server side only in Python. So it's no longer uncommon to see Python is being used in game industry. We have one big example like EVE Online. Do you know EVE Online? So EVE Online is utilize stateless Python, and they make their servers one single server for worldwide users. So it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon to see Python being used in game industry. But right after they release their game, you cannot enjoy the game at all for 4 or 5 days. Can you imagine? It's a new game which is developed for 5 or 6 years, and all the users is dying for the game. After its release date, you cannot log into server. So some people complain about the server port. But the community member in Korea, so all the Python stars, they just embrace the inconvenience. And even they cheer up the team. They hope the team can find the solution eventually. Game is used Python. That's the only reason all the game player embrace the inconvenience. So maybe you have just started learning code, or maybe you are a web developer, maybe you're doing some big data analysis or machine learning, something like that. So you can do that with Python, right? So we all use Python. So we have something in common, right? It's Python. So in PyCon, PyCon is one iconic conference for Python community, right? So even in PyCon, each of you are not using only Python. Maybe you can use another language like Go or Rust. Maybe, I hope you not to use, but maybe you can use PHP. So we can do the same thing, exactly. We do code, right? So this one is actually, I don't like this, the logo. It's quite old, but the message in the image is really good. PyCon connecting the Python community. So how many PyCons out there except PyCon Philippines? Any of you have been PyCon in other countries? How many? Okay, not so many. I just put all the location of local regional PyCon on the map. Yesterday I made it with a volume. So as you see, there's a lot of PyCons out there. We all do the same thing. In Korea, we promote and advance Python, use of Python in our community, as you're doing here right now. So many countries, there's a lot of PyCons. We are doing same thing. We love Python, so we are here. So recently, I got tons of grants requests from Africa. Well, I have no idea what's happening in Africa, but I think there's something happen. So many Jungle workshop and Python meetups that's happening in Africa. And also they have 4 PyCons right now. So that's good because the mission statement of the PSF, the mission of PSF is to promote, protect, and advance the Python program language. It's our mission. So if we have more PyCons, then we can promote Python to more people, right? So while this is the mission state of the PSF, what is PyCon APEC? PyCon APEC is an effort to help in similar way as the Python Software Foundation does internationally, but with a special focus on Asia Pacific. So last year in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, there was a PyCon APEC 2017, and this year in Singapore we'll host the PyCon APEC, and maybe after that, maybe PyCon Philippines or somewhere else can host PyCon APEC. But organizing an international committee or something is a big problem, as much as you can expect. So we have so many differences, mentalities. Mentalities are different, and different culture and languages barrier. Sometimes there's a political conflict, and also there's a different economical levels. So yeah, I realize that all of you can speak English very well, but my mother language is Korean, and most of Korean cannot speak English very well, and Japanese too, and maybe Chinese. Most of Asian countries cannot speak English as a native levels. So we feel difficult to communicate each other. Sometimes there's misunderstandings because of the language barriers, and plus different cultures. That's what we should get over. I have, at the time, when I talked with my friend Kuba, something is popped up in my mind. It's Olympics. So Olympics transcended things, everything. So now in Korea, actually today is a final day of the Winter Olympics. So all the athletics in Olympic Games, they came from different countries, and they do different sports. Some skating, some snowboarding, something like that. But they share their interest, and they know each other, have devoted their life to become a national level of player. And they get along with not an Olympic but also international sports games. Behind the Olympic Games, there is Olympism. Olympism is a great way of life by blending sports with culture, education, and international cooperation. Yeah, the main goal of Olympism is to place sports at the service of the harmonious development of humankind with a view to promoting a peaceful society concerned with the preservation of human dignity. So that's the Olympism. It's behind of the Olympic Games. This one is the slogan of the Winter Olympic in Pyeongchang. It's a simple, passion, connected. It's so touched. There's some beautiful stories during the games. I'd like to introduce some of these. Right. So, I mentioned about the political conflicts between countries in specifically Asia Pacific. So Taiwan and Chinese are not get along with very good, and Japan and Korea, it seems like we are enemies each other. So some Koreans hate Japanese and Japanese hate Koreans, but the two players from Korea and Japan, it's a women's speed skating. The Korean player Lee Sang-hwa was 2 gold medalists. Now Kodaira, she's from Japan, and so both of them are rivals on speed skating. They compete each other for over 10 years. So maybe this is the last Olympic Games where they can play with. So far, the record of Korean player is a bit better than Japanese player. Many of Korean people expect gold medal, but at the day of this final game, the Japanese player Kodaira-san sets Olympic records. So every Japanese audience is get excited. And after that, it's the Korean player's turn. You can see the picture. The Japanese players make the audience just let Korean player get focused on her game. So after the race, finally, Japanese player get a gold medal. And Korean player cried. Japanese player came to her and hugged her because they know this is a last game played together. So it's a true sportsmanship, right? This is what true sportsmanship. And another example is North and South Korea. Do you know what's happening in between North and South? We were in war maybe 60 years ago, but not anymore. But I found most of foreigners think that we are enemies each other, right? Yeah, technically we are enemies. They are a bit afraid of the visit in Korea because maybe North Korea drop a nuclear bomb to South Korea. But I guarantee you it's never gonna happen because we think each other as family, brothers. Some of maybe 3 million of South Korean people have their family member in North. They cannot meet each other because of the political reason. That's a national tragedy. But in this Winter Olympic Games, there's one unified team for both South and Korea. It was the women ice hockey team. It's a unified team. Both North and South Korean team up together. Women ice hockey is not the best part of the Korean sports field. So the team ended its Olympic with winless. But Olympism is transcend nationalities and religion and religions. It can transcend everything. So even we divide into North and South, we can unify as one team, and we played as a team. So the most important thing is the Olympic game is not to win, but to take part. Just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. So when you visit to another PyCons, some people ask how many of the attendees for this year, and how many attendees your PyCons have. So it sounds like competing the numbers of attendees, right? This year, 2017, PyCon Korea had 1,800 people, and PyCon Taiwan, maybe they have 800 or 900, and PyCon India, they have thousands. So we are not competing the numbers, right? We are just get along with share our interest. It's just a community, like a festival. So how many? So it's no matter how many attendees you have, the core value of the PyCon has not changed. Do you know this symbol? It's a yin and yang. So yin and yang, it describes how seemingly opposite or contrary forces may actually be complementary, interconnected, and independent in the natural world. If you look closely, the Python logo, it looks like yin and yang symbol, right? So it looks like yin and yang. And someone, actually I don't know who designed this logo, but if I found him, I want to ask the meaning of the logo. I guess that the upper half looks like alphabet P, and bottom part looks like Y. That's maybe that's an intention of the logo, but I don't know. To me, it looks like yin and yang symbol. So as the yin and yang Python logo implies, interconnect with people beside you, and then interconnect with the countries beside your country, so that we can become a bigger APEC community like this. So that's all I prepared for yesterday, and we have maybe 20 minutes. So if you have any questions, then I will gladly answer your questions. Yes.
Okay, so you are a director previously at PSF, right? And I'm just curious, how was it like working with Guido Van Rosen?
I once met Guido. We had a short lunch. So working as a director of Python Software Foundation does not mean working with Guido. So he's in PSF we have chairperson and 11 directors, and we have 5 steps. But Guido gives some advice and direction about the development of core Python. But he's not really involved the PSF thing.
What made you decide to step up as a director?
What made me
Decide
to
step up as a director?
step up?
Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's the funny. There's a funny story. So when I was in PyCon Philippines in 2016, I met Carol. She was a keynote speaker. Carol Willing, who a core member of Jupyter project. So she gave a keynote at PyCon. Oh no, 2016, isn't it right? Yeah. So I have a chat with Carol, and she asked me why you came to Philippines. Why? So I told her that I'm promoting PyCon effecting, and also I want to learn how they running this conference, because PyCon Korea is only 4 years old. It's only 4 years. So this year is our 5th PyCon. So at that time it's very beginning. It was very beginning. So I have no idea how to organize the PyCon, or so we are just struggling. So I traveled each other neighbor countries and just to learn how they organize. So I told this thing to Carol, and Carol impressed about my answer. She nominated me as a director, and I got elected by vote. So that's the story. So PyCon Philippines, you made me director of PSF. Thank you very much. More thing I'd like to mention about is I'm supposed to give a brief overview of Python community in APEC. So I traveled so many PyCon in different countries. So maybe some of you wonder what's the majority of interest in the country. So there's no many different between each other countries, we share majority of interest is the same. So this year, I saw a lot of machine learning and deep learning things, and before that, I saw a lot of big data thing and automating everything. And before that, there's a lot of web development talks. So even we are not closely connected, we share the majority of interest.
Okay.
Hi.
Since you left PSF director, do we still have representation from the APEC region? And that's the first question. And the second one is, what was the most interesting experience by being PSF director? So you've been director for at least a year, right?
Yeah, it's a year.
Okay, thanks.
Well, I'm not representing PyCon, APEC community at all. I never meant to represent APEC. But I want to bring the voices from APEC region to the board, because at the time I thought that we are just neglected. You know what I mean? So I've been in PyCon US several times and other PyCons. So it was amazing. It was just amazing. And every country from Europe, from Africa and America, there's a lot of people gathering in the same place and talk about Python. But it's a bit hard to find guys from Asia region. When I talk about the PyCon US thing with my Korean friends, they even don't know what's happening in US. So while the mission statement of the PSF is promoting and advancing Python community all over the world, why we don't know about the PSF at all? So that's why I feel we neglected. So with that, I want to bring our voices back to the board. And I forgot your second question.
The most interesting experience from being PSF
During the terms?
During the terms, yes.
First, there's a lot of emails. So, yeah, you never imagine. There's a lot of emails. And, well, every single time I work for the PSF is very memorable and it's honorable. No specific.
All right. I think there are no more questions for Sir Younggun. One last. Okay, so thank you so much for giving us a talk about Python community in APEC, sir.
Thank you very much.